Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Malcriada Thoughts. This episode, we're going to be talking about COVID. We're going to be talking about how it relates to colonialism. And we're going to be talking about what you can do to keep yourself and others around you safe. Alright, guys. So, first things first, COVID is still a thing. COVID didn't just magically disappear anywhere. And it's taking me and a lot of us time to come to that understanding because we relied. We, silly of us, we trusted in our government. A silly thing for us to do because we were counting on the CDC to provide its citizens with the most accurate information, and that wasn't true. That is not something that was done. Why do I say this? Because Delta Airlines had their medical advisors send a letter to the CDC director to cut the isolation time in half from 10 days to 5 days on a person who has been fully vaccinated but was experiencing COVID symptoms. Después de ahí, like after that, all this shit started like coming down, and people, including myself, this isn't a call out, this is a call in, and this is just me calling into my community and anyone who I have the ear who will listen. We could learn about this together because I wasn't aware. Well, one, until the information got on my For You page, and two, I was like, oh shit, what are they talking about? I'm gonna go research more about this, and it checked out. Yeah, it's crazy because I don't know about long COVID, but we're gonna get to that. A lot of my family, a lot of people that I'm around sometimes like are literally, dude, Latinos, conservative Latinos are so annoying, dude. Like, it's like, dude, what's going on? But anyways, that's the reason people stopped giving a fuck, essentially, about the mandates and the regulation and all that stuff. And I remember because when COVID was like at its peak, I was working at the fucking the Texas legislator, girl. And they were so serious about it. I promise you, like all of the representatives who were literally like advocating for people not to get, they don't have to have the vaccine and whatever. They were all getting vaccinated. They were all vaccinated. Nada más le estaban dando tole con el dedo a la gente, the people who were like anti-vax and all that stuff. They were just giving them like a tole con el dedo. They were just telling them what they want to hear. They're like, yeah, the vaccine is horrible. Da, da, da. Anyways, I'm gonna get it. Hell yeah, I'm gonna get it, and hell yeah, my family's gonna get it. Like, and then people are blaming these really horrible symptoms on the vaccine instead of the effects of long COVID and COVID, because they're not listening to how fucked up this, not fucked up, but how complex and I guess fast changing virus is, because it's mutating a lot. But yes, COVID's still a thing. COVID is here, and the people who are in charge, the government, the CDC, the people who were supposed to be regulating and preventing huge pandemics from happening and keeping the public safe, they weren't doing that. And why weren't they doing that? Because of, oh my god, you know what they were doing? You know what Trump was doing? And not just to shit on Trump, like to shit on every politician, not just to shit on Trump. Like, girl, he's like every other bitch. Anyways. And they kind of just blamed everything on China. And they made it racist, xenophobic travel bans. because oh no, our we were like, oh, the US public health system is so sophisticated, like we don't have to worry about this stuff. But we've never dealt with a pandemic ever. We've never dealt with these kinds of things. Yeah, flu and whatever, no, but this is not like the flu. This is not like the flu.
And colonizers are known for their spread of disease and their lack of cleanliness. And this, there's parallels between this. There's parallels between people not wanting to mask and not caring about the sanity. No. And not caring about the sanitation of their environment. And that is a colonizer mindset. That is an imperialist mindset. And it's important to know, because now with that layer being uncovered, then we are able to see, okay, it's more than just a mask. It's more than just masking. It's more than just people trying to tell other people what to do and trying to have a moral superiority over it. Like, no, this is deep. This is not just some petty like thing that people want to do and just want to inconvenience y'all and each other. Like, no, on the contrary.
That's the first thing. We thought it was over, right? But it's not. And the things that we were, instead of learning about the virus itself and the CDC investing in testing and putting that money into taking precaution, they were just feeding into these stupid, xenophobic, neo-colonialist ideas. And that's not okay. And a lot of us were unaware of this, and I'm not gonna say that that's okay, but it's not okay that happened, but it did. And we can't go back and change it, but we can change what we do now, and we could be more willing to help our community. If the government isn't gonna do it, we have to take care of each other. We have to make sure that we keep each other healthy and safe. So yeah. The second point I'm going to talk about is that this virus and this like COVID is a mass disabling event. I learned this from Crutches and Spice. And it's crazy because, okay, here I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of my knowledge and like my background with COVID. COVID was crazy. The pandemic was wild. And I was an older sister. I was doing college, and then my little siblings were in high school. So I had just like one more year to go for college. Like, I had lived my life, essentially. I graduated college. I graduated high school. I had my horrible prom. I had my annoying graduation walk. I had it all. And then the generation right after me doesn't get that. That's wild. That's wild and crazy. And it was very sad because I would see how much energy my little siblings used to have, and then compare them to how they were behaving while they were going to school online. And it was just so sad. And to think that this was how kids all over the valley were being. Just turn on my computer and I'm learning. But I'm not getting to live out the life that I was promised because my country did not take the necessary precautions. Because they don't think of the children. They never do. They use them always as scapegoats and like morality like points, but they never really care about the children. If they care about the children, they would invest in our schools, and they wouldn't make our schools budget be based off property tax. Right? Yeah. But yeah. So let's talk about long COVID, and let's talk about COVID in general. What is it? How does it spread? And all these stuff. So the reason at the beginning of the pandemic there was so much confusion. At first we were like saying masking helps. At first they were saying what kind of mask. At first they were saying stop buying so many masks because there's a shortage for the hospitals. I understand that it was so confusing and convoluted, and like essentially the public were not getting the information they needed, and it was so confusing. And I feel so sad and angry because the people who are at the The people who get hurt by these kinds of things the most are people with disabilities. Every single the disabled community is at the center of this, because COVID affects people who already have underlying conditions and other disabilities like respiratory issues, and it doesn't even have to be that. It could just be immunity issues. So like someone who has cancer, they have to wear a mask because their immune system is weak. That makes sense to wear a mask so you don't inhale bacteria and other things that you're not supposed to. I used to mask when people started talking about it and people were saying that it would help, and I eventually stopped after the mandates lifted. But even when I was masking incorrectly. Very inconsiderate. I was just focusing on college and working for fast food. The point is, there was a lot of confusion at the beginning of the pandemic because we weren't getting enough information. But now we do have the information. The big problem, the big question was, is it airborne or not? So does it spread just with like if you cough and the little water droplets get on you? That's the only way it spreads? Or does it spread just with you talking, just with you existing and breathing? Does it move like smoke? And the answer now is yes, it does. And so many people kept denying this, and they kept trying to change the language to make it seem, basically tweak the language so the mandates will be lifted, so that people could continue to run business as usual, so people can continue having parties, selling alcohol, people can keep shopping, consuming, etc. Because that's what holds up our economy. And they didn't want, oh my god, the essential workers. I was an essential worker and I had a permit. I had a permit to go and drive around after closing hours. But yes, now we know that COVID has a key to everything in your body. It could attack any system, and it could impact any of your systems. And this is where the long COVID aspect comes in. Like if you're experiencing fatigue, brain fog, muscle twitches, and things like that. And now the CDC has these points on their website, and I'll link all these things over there in the description, right? But now the CDC has the points in long COVID. Here, I'll read you a few. Long COVID is a serious illness that can result in chronic conditions requiring comprehensive care. And obviously, if you have more underlying illnesses or disorders, it could affect you more. And that's the part that people aren't listening to. It affects disabled people more. And when you sit down and try to learn about COVID, it taught me a lot about the disabled community and how at the end of the day, like, no one in the government is advocating for them. Like, obviously there are people, right? But there's such an afterthought to the status quo, and it's not okay. And if you were really allies, we have to be better, and we have to center disabled people. We have to center the most marginalized. We always have to center you guys, and that's something I need to make aware in the valley, in our community, because girl, like, sometimes the biggest issue is not that we are no sabo kids, you know? Like, that's not the biggest struggle that we have, and that we get told that we're no sabo. Yeah, it's definitely a thing that happens, but there are bigger issues in the valley and in our community that need more urgent attention. And then we could sit down and talk about all the other little shit that colonialism, all the other, what's it called, byproducts of colonialism. We could all talk about that. But first, at our core, we have to center the most marginalized people in our community so we could thrive, and because we'll take care of each other. And yeah. So we can't really talk about COVID without talking about disabled people, and we can't and But I don't want just COVID, them to talk about COVID and that's how we relate to disabled people. No, we have to apply it in every sense. So, for example, if you want to make a business and you consider yourself an ally, you consider yourself an abolitionist, you consider yourself someone advocating for liberation, you have to keep all these different identities and in mind, and not just identities like, oh, I choose to identify as this. Like, no, like just in general, the ifs and what abouts, like all that stuff we have to keep in your mind, because if then you're not a good leader. Respectfully, you're not a good leader if you don't have you don't try to think of everyone's perspective and how to meet a certain goal. Like, for example, one day perhaps maybe I would want to open either a co-op or a nonprofit, right? But I don't think that I should do that if I don't plan on paying everyone getting their needs met or getting the same amount of salary. If there's that's a thing. I have to do more research, right? But I do believe that co-ops people get salaries, and people or nonprofits people get salaries as well. And I don't want someone with a disability to feel uncomfortable or feel like they're not safe in that environment that I create, or anyone to feel unsafe. Yeah, it's kind of impossible to try to make a safe space for everyone if you don't know about things, but I think that's why we have to put in the effort to try to learn about marginalized communities outside of our own, or outside the ones that we're in already. And it's cool because you always find a connection somehow. But even if there weren't, the only connection, like everyone's connected either way. Either way, bookies. Yeah. And you're like, bitch, what the fuck can I do? I'm not the CDC, I'm not the government. You're right. But these are the things we could do on a personal level. We could take precautions by masking, by not dining in and like eating outside and not eating in restaurants. You can get air purifiers, and if you don't have the means to get an air purifier, you can open windows in your place like every hour. And you can also be a frequent tester. And I'll be linking websites where you can get this that is like not Amazon, because I'm trying not to buy that much stuff off of Amazon. But yeah. And what you can do for the community. So what I've seen a lot recently is that people are thinking like, oh, you're just like virtue signaling. Girl, I didn't even know what that word meant. And then all of a sudden I see people just saying virtue signaling. It's so annoying. Like when you're trying to get a message out there and be like, guys, come on, like let's care about this. We could do more. Right? And then people are just like, oh, you think you're better than me? It's like, no. When did I say that? I did not say that at all. And I feel like y'all just say things and then start running with it. Like, yes, performative activism is a thing. But I feel like this isn't, like, y'all call virtue signaling to the people in your own community who can actually do things and actually care about you and know you. But you guys don't say virtue signaling to, like, insanely like rich celebrities and billionaire celebrities who post a link or a pin. That's performative. That's virtue signaling. Because I don't think there's a bigger contradiction than an ally who is close to 100 millionaire billionaire. I simply don't. And y'all need to get into that. Like, y'all need to get into that. Like, now. Shit. And yeah, if you feel called out, I'm so sorry, but we need to feel these uncomfortable feelings. And that's how I felt too. Like I felt too. Like when I first started hearing like people saying like, "Oh, COVID never ended. Y'all need to keep masking." It's cuz I was like, "What?" Like the first time I heard that I was like, "No, this mask like I don't need a mask. Like I got vaccinated." But scroll. Like that's exactly what I thought. And then I kept learning about, then I fell into the COVID like rabbit hole and started like looking up stuff and seeing like what it is and going to the actual like reading the letter that Delta Airlines wrote to the CDC and seeing how that just happened. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. People are bought so easily. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And like people would buy representatives like steak and they would get bills passed. And it's legal. That is legal in the state of Texas. You can legally bribe someone with food. It's legal. Ah! But yeah. Um something I'm going to try to do, like what can I do? Me specifically, what can I do to try to get the word out here that COVID is real, that COVID is still a thing, that we need to be masking, we need to figure it out. I still need to get more like the more like sophisticated masks, but I've been overwhelmed with like the amount of choices that like there is. I get so overwhelmed when shopping nowadays is so annoying and overwhelming, but this is important, right? And I have to just pick one and get it and just have it. But something that I've been thinking of doing is reaching out to the people in RGV who like do host the local shows and get them like in on what's going on. And because a bunch of these little like kiddos, like these anarchists, like they're so self-proclaimed anarchists and like liberation like abolitionists, right? So it's like, okay, cool, like I feel like I can talk to them and I can like maybe send them a DM telling them, hey guys, maybe we can be promoting masking more at the shows. We could provide mask at the door. We could have a testing booth. We could do things like that. And yeah, like, because it's not, I don't, a lot of people, yes, there's a lot of people out there who are anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers, and they have that politic, they have that ideal. But I think a lot of like youth and a lot of people who are like right now are really like concert goers and they're not wearing any mask, and I just think that they're just not aware. And people are tired. They just want to like be out and about. They don't want to think about COVID. They don't want to travel back to 2020 and think about all that stuff. But it's important. It's important to face reality. And I think that y'all get it. I don't think that y'all are like these like ignorant people who refuse to see. Like I genuinely think that most of the people, most of my community, just they don't know, and they think that COVID is not a thing anymore and we're okay. And yeah, I've been struggling a lot with going out as a result, because I'm just like, oh, let me just not go anyway. I used to go to a dance class, but then I started masking, but then I sometimes would forget my mask, and then people were saying like, oh, I think I have COVID, and then I just stopped going. That and other reasons. But and then I would see some people masking, and it was like a reminder, like, oh shit, like I need a mask, like I can't just be out here. And I don't know how clean these people are. I don't see them clean. I don't see them mop any time. I don't see any disinfectants. Like I don't see any air filters, you know. And there's a lot of little kids who go, and little kids are also prone, and they're more vulnerable to this. That remember the elderly, little kids, because their immune systems are very barely developing, and disabled people and people with other respiratory systems, other respiratory illnesses. and people with other respiratory illnesses, etc. And yeah, I think I am gonna be able to do that, reach out to like people who host events down in the valley, because I know a few of them, because I used to be a go-go. So that's gonna be me. I don't know what else I can do besides reaching out and talking to them and kind of just letting them know, like, hey guys, if y'all are really about it, then we need to really care about everyone in the community. Like, oh, I see y'all for free Palestine, right? Are y'all for Palestine? Y'all are for the liberation of all indigenous land. I see that, I peep that. Then I see that you should also be able to care about the disabled community, because they are asking us to mask, they are asking us for help, for solidarity, and it's all connected. It's all connected. And I think this can also be a way for us to highlight and our health and put a focus on our health. If we're not going out that much, if we're not trying to go out that much, and if we do, we mask, and if we want to go eat, then we go eat, and then eat outside or come dine in and watch a movie, and keep testing regularly, then if we all do our part, right, then I think we could really get some healing energy out here. Because you know how the capitalistic lens of consumerism, of self-improvement, of hyper-individualism, all of that is a lens where you kind of have to see yourself from like you're seeing yourself like something you need to fix, something you need to work on, as opposed to seeing yourself as something that is whole already. So if you have a bigger sized body, then you're always constantly trying to make yourself smaller and thinner and toned. You're always working. There's always something to be improved. Or if you have textured skin, you're like, I'm trying to have my glass skin. I need to get my glass skin. So I'm going to I'm going to invest all this money into these products. These products that are packaged in these products that are packaged in plastic and have chemicals that I don't really know about, and that I just buy because everyone's saying that it's good. It's sad because we are our own, like, it's so sad. Like, influencers to me are so sad sometimes, like, because when I see someone using a product, I'm gonna be so honest, I don't give a fuck if it's good. The thing that makes it look good is the person selling it. Always. And I'm not saying it like, yes, usually they get models for this and pretty influencers for this, but not even that. It's not even that sometimes to me. It's like the energy that a human brings. Like that acting of like, hey, I'm your friend and I recommend you this. That's the most powerful marketing technique. And it's so sad because like these marketing companies or whatever are using the energy of a human, the essence of a human, of a girl, a friend, a neighbor, a mother. Like, they're using that image to sell you something that probably isn't even good. Or even if it brings you joy or brings you some type of healing on your skin or on your body of whatever, it's hurting someone else because the production of it was probably made in an exploitative way. And it's so sad that that's how influencers are being used, and that's how humans are being used. And it's so sad that I eat that shit up. We all do. Like, I bought what's it called? I bought a sunscreen because I didn't know what sunscreen to buy. Like, I don't know anything about skincare. Like, yeah, I know what the people on TikTok says, but I don't know personally anything. I haven't verified that, but I know I needed sunscreen. right? So I go on my Instagram and then I see my friend promoting one. I think either she got sponsored or she was trying to get sponsored. And I saw her taking it and using it, and I was like, oh my god, my friend. I'm gonna just get the one my friend got. See, I got that product not because it's the best product in the world. Like, no, I got it because my friend was using it and she was showing it off. Like, ugh. It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. And I know that we're all frustrated. We are all frustrated, okay? Collective sigh. Collective inhale and exhale. But I know we're all trying to do our best. And, yeah, but this is important. This is important. And it's so hard to fight consumerism. And I think that if we're focusing on our health instead of focusing on our on our physical appearance, because it's different. There's difference between the way you show up in the world and the way you feel, and the way your body feels, and the way your systems, whether your systems are regulated or not, whether you know how to regulate your systems or not, whether you know your mind or not. That feel like that has a lot to do with liberation. And if you're out here focused, and this is not a read, but if you're out here focused on the next concert, the next the next Gucci bag, I don't know, the next iPhone drop, when are you gonna like focus on your mental, on those questions that keep you up at night? When? And I think a lot of us avoid this, and I'm gonna put myself on blast. Like, I avoided it so much after the pandemic. I was out here raving. I was out here going to like raves and shit, losing myself, doing things that girl, like, and I got in trouble. I got myself in a lot of trouble. Mentally and physically, because I wasn't taking care of my body. I wasn't taking care of the people around me. I didn't care. I just wanted to feel good. I just wanted to dance and feel fabulous. But it wasn't enough. And obviously it wasn't enough. Before, like, how am I gonna go from a little like girl who you used to want to be president to just want to be a go-go dancer and think that is enough? Not even a go-go dancer, just someone who goes to raves a lot, because I was only a go-go dancer for a little bit. And not that dancing isn't a fulfilling career, but if you're just dancing, no thinking, doing nothing for the community, then I don't think you'll be very fulfilled. Because you could be using your talents to create something beautiful in your own community. But people don't, they want to go, they just want to look out for themselves, because that is what this society teaches them to do, and that is what this society sees as honorable. And it makes me so sad, and it makes me even more upset when I point that out and people are like, oh, well, you're just virtue signaling. Like, no. No. But yes, I do agree that maybe we should have more conversations about virtue, because clearly we're not getting them at home where we need it. And again, not a read. Like, it's an issue that needs attention, is not to put people on blast. And yeah, so that's what I plan to do. I plan to reach out to event organizers in my community to let them know like there's other things that we could be doing to prevent to try to prevent the spread of COVID, to keep ourselves and our community healthy, to include other ways, to find other ways to include fashion in our masking, because masking is, unfortunately, it's something that's going to be here to stay until there's a proper like shutdown and lockdown and people get the rest that they need. I feel like that's one of the first things that needs to be done, a proper lockdown. But again, there's lots of ideas, lots of things. Either way, the essential workers need to get paid more if there is a lockdown. If they're yeah, that's something that, oh my fucking god, like I was an essential worker. Tell me how a Chick-fil-A sandwich is essential. Because it's food. So why aren't we paid with essential wages, babes? What's going on? Working at Chick-fil-A was awful. But there was this guy that I met. I think his name was Jacob. Jacob, if that's your name, you're literally a legend. He was the most chaotic, the chaotic good, like, incarnate. Because he knew where we were. He knew we were in a little Christian. All the managers were white and Christian. And if they weren't white, they were Christian and very conservative and passive aggressive. And we'd always be closing together, and he'd be like, he'd just pull up to random people and be like, so you think women and men are equal? And because he's a guy, you would expect that he's like, like rooting for guys, I don't know, or like that patriarchal mentality. But no, he wasn't. And he wasn't. And he literally he asked that to like a girl, and then the girl was like, there's certain jobs that women can't fulfill, blah, blah, blah. Typical thing you would expect from someone who works at Chick-fil-A. And then he was like, well, like, she was like, there's just some things that women can't do because they're not strong enough and men have muscles or whatever the fuck. She said something among those lines, and then he like delivered like the fastest like response ever. He was like, well, don't you think that in 2020 we have enough technology to make up for the lack of strength or whatever power that women have? If we don't have machinery that can't lift heavy things for us, then I don't know how long we've advanced as a society. Like, he literally said something like that, like literally with that sass, with that delivery, with that like quickness. And I was like, for once, I'm not the problematic one. But he was right. And I was like dying in the corner, like every time he spoke. And then he would go ask random people. He's like, hey, you believe in trans rights? And he'd get no's, and he'd be like, that's fucked up. No, that's fucked up. He'd go around calling out everyone, and no one ever told him shit. No one ever spoke out. And I'm like, that was just, it was just nice to see. And two, I was like, oh, if I were the one doing that, my ass would have gone like written up. But I digress. But I loved him for that. He was so cool. I need to find him. I need to ask my friend who used to work there if she has his contact. Get him on the pod. Oh, I imagine he's a Trumpy now. Fuck. But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about COVID because I'm new to this. I recently learned this. I need to, and if I know about it, then I will relay the information. I'm proud of you guys. I know that it's hard. To take in consideration all these things, but it's something we gotta do. Like, we need to get on our Zoom. And yeah, I'm tired of being the person who complains about the world not being a good place, but then I'm not doing anything. So I'm trying to, okay? And you can too. And if you don't know what to do, or you have an idea but you don't know where to go with it or what to do with it, you can let me know. You can email me on my website, on my about page, scroll, and then there's a message malcriada option. Send me an email, a message, and I'll get into contact with you. I'm trying to build community. And like, for example, if you want to make like a group, but you don't know how to start it, I can help you start it. I can help you make a Google Sheet. I can help you do stuff like that. Obviously, like, I have to be free, but yes, I can help you. We can help each other. If you have any suggestions on things you want me to talk about, let me know. I have an idea pool, and I usually pull from that, but I can put those on hold if you guys want to hear me talk about something else specifically. Yeah. I'm sorry if this seems really rushed and like unorganized. I'm trying to just talk in my regular voice and not seem so scripted, and so you guys can listen to me how I regularly talk. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of Malcriada Thoughts. This was your host, Sodger Knives, signing